My name is Khosrov. I'm a couture designer from Los Angeles. From a very young age, I was raised in a fairly artistic household. Around 13, 14, my parents were kind of like, all right, you got to figure out what you're doing with your life, which is kind of a crazy thing to ask of a 13-year-old. I just kind of decided that this is what I wanted to do. It's something that I was either sketching a lot, whether it was, dresses or women or fashion sketching or things of that nature. I just kind of threw myself into studying all of the designers. And I, of course, started with Galliano and studying his work and his sketching style and all those things. And it kind of led me to a plethora of other designers. There's a lot of due diligence that I feel like I've done in terms of studying the craft and the history of things. I studied in London at the London College of Fashion. London for me was definitely super influential. It was my formative years. It's somewhere I had wanted to live and study and work, and it seemed like a lot of big talent was being churned out of the city, so it just felt like a natural direction to go in. It was during my bachelor collection. There was something missing. There was something that I just couldn't quite put together, and then it just kind of clicked for me, and just that feeling and knowing of I need to express my cultural identity into the work that I'm doing. And that just really kind of paved the way into how I approach collections moving forward. You might see it in silhouettes, you might see it in details, you might see it in patterns or what have you, but there's always something underlying there that kind of leads back and points back to my Armenian heritage. I definitely started taking the work more seriously sometime around like 2019 to 2020. And the time that I spent working with a few people that I did in Los Angeles, it definitely showed me that all roads do in fact lead to Rome, and I needed to move this operation to Italy. I really believe in making things that are artisanal, that are special, and that is something that Italy has granted me. I've not only been able to meet so many incredible people, but it's allowed me to grow as both a designer and somebody who has teams of people. There was just an incredible wealth of people that love their job. They love what they do. And when you have their full support and you have their heart, that's really when you can start to make magic happen. While I was doing the Blue collection, that was definitely the first time I was creating a full body of work. It was the first time I was working with a seamstress full-time. She was at my house like 5-6 days a week. I was doing the patterning, she was doing the sewing, and it pulled, of course, a lot from that line of kind of my heritage and pulling in from Armenian traditional manuscripts from like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th centuries. There was coins that I had bought that were from the 11th century that we had reproduced from Levon I. There was something definitely a little bit more religious, I would say, and then the first few seasons, just because Armenia in general, we're the first country to have adopted Christianity. The Blue collection was the first one that dealt with this like heaven and hell connotation, and then going into the second collection was a lot more heavier in terms of its emotional weight. My best friend's father passed away, and I had to be in Italy during that time, and so I wasn't really able to be there for her and her family, and it just kind of was this really cathartic process of a mourning of this person that I had known for so many years. And so it was kind of a tribute collection, but there's also that overarching connection back to Italy and back to Armenia. I had moved to Florence at that point in time, and you can see in the colorways that there's kind of these nods to Florence and the time that I spent there. And so it just kind of is this small love letter to my friend's family, but also to this new city that I've been exploring. Then going into the past season, now known as the Red Collection, which I was heavily influenced by kind of the Medici family, which presence can be felt very heavily within the city of Florence. I was really taken away by the idea of the orange tree because the oranges, they have 6 oranges as part of their family crest and their insignia. And Botticelli's Primavera painting is also set within an orangery. And so I kind of felt like I had to give something to this. So I got to sketching what has now become quite the infamous dress for me. Once I got the tree designed, there was obviously the other hurdle of actually executing it. And so I enlisted a few friends, brought them out to Italy with me, and we lived together for like 3 months. And it took us 5 months, to be fair, to execute the tree. But once it was done and kind of released out into the world, that's kind of when I realized that we really had something here with this dress. I was flying to London to hand deliver the dress for a Vogue shoot. Don Richard's stylist, Joey, he reached out to my PR agency, and the day before flying out, my agency was like, hey, you know, we have someone who's interested for the tree for the Grammys. And sure enough, once we got back, we scheduled a fitting. We had to, we double corseted the poor girl, but she was a trooper. She was a true fashion girl, and we got her onto the red carpet, and it went viral, and that was my first kind of experience with something like that, and it just really made me understand the power of being in the right place at the right time. It was definitely the precipice of what catapulted the brand to where it is now, especially within the media. Vogue World was something that happened 4 or 5 months after the Grammys, but I think that was something that was so intrinsically connected because if the Grammys had not happened for me, I don't think Vogue World would have occurred either. I had a wonderful woman named Tina within our Armenian community. She reached out to me. She's a Vogue 100 member. She was like, I'm going to Vogue World, and she needed a dress, and we were like, all right, how are we gonna make this happen? We both were kind of like, all right, there's like a month and a half maybe until this event, and thankfully she's just as crazy as I am and went along for the ride with me, and vice versa, to be honest, because getting into Vogue World was definitely a really incredible experience. I think it allowed me to kind of understand the gravity of what I'm doing, but also that people respect kind of what my voice is, and there is an audience for that. Hot off the heels of Vogue World, we kind of went directly into this most current season. Bless my team because I work them to the bone, but I think we all are very proud of kind of what the outcome was. It was definitely this kind of moment of really defining what the brand is. I love to work and sculpt around the body and kind of celebrate the shape and the silhouette. I hope that women and people just kind of feel that much more empowered when they wear the things that I make. Yeah, I'm super excited for the future. I think there's a lot more that I have to say, and a lot more that's kind of like brewing internally, and it's gonna be some exciting times ahead. That's for sure.